One of the most important and also stressful parts of planning a Disney World vacation is choosing where to stay. Today, we're going to take you around all of the different value resorts here at Walt Disney World and help you pick the perfect resort for you. Let's go do it. Hi-ho everybody, this is Rob with Ear Scouts coming to you from Walt Disney World. We're here today to help you choose the ultimate value resort for you and your family. In case you're not hip to the Disney lingo, they like to separate their resorts into 3 categories. There's value, moderate, and deluxe. As you can probably already guess from those names, value is going to be the most affordable resorts here at Walt Disney World. Moderate's going to be right there in the middle, and you're going to spend a pretty penny to stay at those deluxe resorts. Of course, you do have another option, which is you could stay off property altogether. I'm going to tell you really quickly why I personally don't recommend doing that. Number one is, believe it or not, price. Yes, you will save a little bit of money by staying off property, but there are a lot of expenses that you're not even really thinking about that you do need to take into consideration. Number one, a lot of those off-property resorts will have resort fees. You're not going to pay any extra fees here at Walt Disney World. A lot of those other resorts are also going to charge you for parking. Check the fine print. Almost all of them here in Orlando, even the ones that you're like, really? You have a huge parking lot. You're going to charge me for parking? Yes, a lot of them do. You're also going to have to deal with transportation and or parking at the parks. So that's going to add up as well. Now, there's no question, even these value resorts we're going to talk about here today do tend to be more expensive than staying off property. But when you add up all those little fees, the price difference isn't as big as you might think. It's great to have the amazing Disney transportation system to take you anywhere you want to go. For as long as the different parks and destinations are open here at Disney World, there will be transportation taking you conveniently back and forth from those destinations to your hotel. And it does tend to be a lot more efficient than the transportation options you might get from off-site properties. There's also the much talked about Disney bubble. It just does make the stay a little bit more magical when your entire world is Disney World. The last thing I want to bring up that's also important to think about is the experience you're going to have with the staff. Here at Disney World, the cast members are by and large amazing. I have almost always had great customer service interactions here at Walt Disney World. When I've stayed off property, it's been a lot more hit or miss. So now let's assume that you've made the decision to stay on Disney World property and you want to stay at one of these value resorts. How do you pick? We're going to start off with a very quick tour, taking you to each of these resorts and giving you the rundown of what it's all about. Assuming we're not considering the campground, which Disney does not consider a value resort. They do consider the cabins on the campground to be moderate resort, but since you don't technically get a room on the campground, they don't count those as value. Assuming we're only going to count the official value resorts, the oldest, the original, is All Star Sports, and that's where we're going to start our tour. Let's go do it. This resort is separated into 5 different distinct themed areas. You've got Surf's Up with a beach theme, Hoops with a basketball theme, Center Court with a tennis theme, Touchdown, which is of course a football theme, and last but certainly not least, Home Run, which is a baseball themed area. No matter which themed area you stay in, the rooms are all going to be pretty much the same. The exterior is the only thing that looks a little bit different. Unsurprisingly, given the theming, this is a very popular pick for different athletic teams, especially high school athletic programs or cheerleading squads that are coming for competitions here at Walt Disney World. All of the value resorts, you're definitely going to find more of those youth groups because, well, it's more affordable for the group. But this one in particular tends to be a bigger attractor for those sports programs because of the theming. While all the different value resorts share a lot of things in common, you'll notice that sports and music share more in common than movies does. The reason is because of the order that they were built. So sports was built in 1994. Shortly after that, they built music. but Movies was the last to be built, and I feel like Disney maybe learned some things from their initial value resorts. We'll show you what we mean when we get over to All-Star Movies, but in general, here at Sports and Music, you'll find that the lobby, the gift shop, lots of things are just a little bit smaller than they are down at All-Star Movies. Here at All-Star Sports, even though it is the oldest resort, the rooms were all recently upgraded and they look really nice. It's a very kind of clean, modern look, and you're gonna see a similar setup in a lot of these different value resort rooms. There's not a whole lot of Disney theming. There's a little bit of character art over the bed. One of the coolest features of this room, and you're gonna see it in a lot of the others, there is a Murphy bed that hides away a second bed in your room. What's great about this, the rooms aren't huge, but this does give you a nice dining area. And when you pull down that Murphy bed, you'll often find some really cute Disney art hiding behind it. Our next stop is All-Star Music. Now, this hotel opened really shortly after All-Star Sports. They both opened in 1994. Sports opened first in April. This one didn't open until November. Because this resort opened so soon after All-Star Sports, you really don't see a big difference between the two of them. They are pretty much identical other than, of course, the theming. The themes you'll find here at All-Star Music are Calypso, Jazz Inn, Rock Inn, Country Fair, and Broadway Hotel. So you remember what I said back at All-Star Sports about all the sports teams and cheerleaders that like to stay there? Well, where do you think the high school marching bands and choral groups go? That's right, All-Star Music. As far as rooms go here at All-Star Music, they're pretty much identical to the ones next door at All-Star Sports. They both got renovated at the same time. They were built around the same time, and they look almost exactly like each other. But there is one really key difference I should mention about All-Star Music, and that is the Calypso buildings and the Jazz buildings also feature family suites. We're going to talk a little bit more about this when we get to Art of Animation, but do know there are family suites available here. They're obviously going to be a lot more expensive than the traditional rooms, but they're going to give you a lot more space. The thing I don't love about the family suites here versus the one we're going to show you later at Art of Animation, they're not over-the-top themed here. So the theming in those family suites is going to look basically the same as the theming in the regular rooms. Our next stop is All-Star Movies, and this is where things start to get really interesting. So 5 years passed between the opening of All-Star Music and the next All-Star Resort, All-Star Movies, and you can tell Disney was hearing a lot of feedback, and they made a lot of changes to this resort. I feel like the theme here was bigger, better, more, because everything here is bigger than it is at the other resorts. The lobby's bigger, the gift shop is bigger, the theming is bigger, and there's just more of it. There's more theming, there's more Disney in the theming. The other resorts have little touches of Disney characters. This one, it's big, giant Disney characters right in your face everywhere you turn. You have no doubt where you are. When you're at this resort, you are at Disney World. And you're gonna find little extra touches here that you won't see in those other resorts. There's kind of like a Hollywood Walk of Fame style star right as you walk into the room, and it's little touches like that that just make this resort a tad bit nicer than the other two. The themed areas you'll find here at All-Star Movies are 101 Dalmatians, Mighty Ducks, Fantasia, The Love Bug, and Toy Story. Anybody who's used the buses here at Disney World knows that sinking feeling you get when you're walking up and your bus is just leaving. Here at the All-Star Resorts, all three resorts are situated right next to each other, and usually at the bus stops, the buses will be situated right next to each other. So if you miss one, you could technically take another. Of course, the downside to taking a different resort bus is you do have to walk from that resort to yours. To give you an idea of how long that might take, we're gonna try it out right now. We're gonna casually walk from movies to music to sports, and we'll let you know how long it takes. One really important thing if you're gonna do this though, I recommend firing up the resort map on your My Disney Experience app. Down at the bottom, you'll see a little map marker icon. When you tap on that, it'll zero in on exactly where you are at Walt Disney World. and you can kind of get a sense of the best path to take. What you do not want to do for sure is take the path that you would take driving. There's nothing that really divides the resort buildings from one another, like a gate or a fence or a wall. So you can actually walk directly from one resort to the next just by going through the resort buildings. That was actually pretty easy and a delightful walk. So from the bus stop back there at All Star Movies to the bus stop here at All Star Music, it was only 6 minutes. When getting from music to sports, it's actually a little bit shorter to cut through the lobby, and then you're gonna cut through the Calypso building, but I do think it's a little bit longer of a walk. There's only one way to find out though. Let's go do it. Once you come out of that Calypso building, you'll see straight across the parking lot from you is the beginning of All Star Sports. It did take a little bit longer to get here. Casual stroll was about 8 minutes. You could probably do it in 5 or 6 if you were really rushing. That's the last of the All-Star Resort, so we're gonna take Disney Transportation to our next stop. Quick note on using Disney Transportation to get from resort to resort. Unfortunately, you cannot take Disney Transportation directly from one resort to another. There are some rare exceptions to that. For example, there's a bus that will take you from Wilderness Lodge to Fort Wilderness, but for the most part, you'll have to take Disney Transportation either to a park or to Disney Springs, and then transfer to a different bus to take you to your next resort. While the monorail might be the most iconic form of Disney transportation, the Skyliner is definitely my favorite. You get spectacular views from up here. There are a few things, however, that you do need to keep in mind when you're staying at a Skyliner hotel. The biggest one is if you have a fear of heights, if you're not going to be comfortable in the Skyliner, it's important to know they will not typically have bus service offered to the parks that are accessible by Skyliner. So if you're staying at Pop Century or Art of Animation, you won't be able to get to Epcot or Hollywood Studios by bus because you'll use the Skyliner. When you use the Skyliner to go to either of the parks and you want to get to Pop Century and Art of Animation, do note you're going to have to transfer here at Caribbean Beach. One important thing to keep in mind about the Skyliner is weather. There are a lot of pop-up storms that happen here in Orlando, and unfortunately, the Skyliner does go down when there's lightning in the area. Now, they will bring in buses to support the resorts that depend on the Skyliner, but you should know those buses take a little while to get going, and it also gets a little confusing because what will happen, there will be what Disney calls the Victory Bus Loop. That'll be the first thing that comes into play, and that's basically a route that will start taking people from the Skyliner stations to all of the different resorts that depend on the Skyliner. But it's gonna go from one resort to another, and it can take you a really long time, especially if you're going to one of the resorts at the end of the loop. Your better bet is usually, if you can, to get to the bus stations, because there they will have the regular buses starting to go between the parks and the resorts, and you'll have a direct route. That's easy enough to do back at Hollywood Studios, but it's more challenging at Epcot, because at Epcot, the Skyliner station is actually at the back of the park near World Showcase at the International Gateway, whereas the bus station is all the way up at the front of the park near Spaceship Earth. Moving from All-Star Movies, which was built in 1999, we're gonna go forward in time to 2003. That's when Pop Century was built, and this hotel is a blast from the past. You can tell Disney took everything that they learned from All-Star Movies, cranked it up a notch here at Pop Century, and then they added in some new themes that would appeal to a wider group of folks. So whereas All-Star Movies is Disney, 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 this one definitely gives a nod to lovers of all things retro. Now, Disney is definitely a part of that retro story, but really it's about taking you back in time and showing you those iconic things that you might remember from your childhood. This resort is broken up into decades, so you can visit the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. So let's talk about rooms here at Pop Century. When we stayed here, we actually requested the king room because we wanted to see what that was like. They do have the traditional rooms here as well, and much like the value resorts at All-Star, they have the Murphy bed that'll come down for the second bed in the room. In our room though, because we had the king room, there was no Murphy bed. It felt like there was a little bit more space though to move around. So if you're not going to use that Murphy bed, the king room is nice just because it feels like it has more room to breathe. Speaking of room choices, I do want to give you guys a quick side tip. Whenever you book any room here at Walt Disney World, I recommend log into the app, make sure your reservation is showing up there, and go ahead and check in as soon as you've booked it. The reason you want to do that is because it's going to let you put in your preferences for your room. Now, this is kind of an easy way to find out what are the things you might want to consider for your room. For example, it might offer you the chance to request a certain building. You might want to look at the map of the resort and see which building looks more appealing to you. Sometimes it'll ask if you'd like a room close to the elevators or on a higher floor. But you can make all those choices in the app. Do note that they give you the option to choose whether you want to prioritize having your room ready or having your requests honored. While they can never guarantee that they can honor your requests, if you're willing to wait longer, you have a better chance of getting them. Our final stop on today's tour was not built until 2012, making it the newest of the value resorts. We are here at Art of Animation. From the moment you walk into the lobby here, you can tell this resort is something extra special. So you'll see all along the walls beautiful artwork that depicts the early sketches of different famous Disney characters. You'll also see those sketches on the back sides of buildings here at Art of Animation. It's really kind of cool because on the back you see the sketch, and then on the front of the building you see the finished product. This resort really is a love letter to the art of making animated movies, and you can tell the Imagineers put so much care and effort into every last detail. This resort really is the jewel in the crown of all of the different value resorts. Here at Art of Animation, there are 4 themed areas. There's Finding Nemo, Cars, The Lion King, and The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid section is actually the only part of this resort where you'll find traditional hotel rooms. All of these other sections have nothing but family suites, and these family suites are mind-blowingly amazing. Honestly, I've stayed at all the moderate resorts. I've stayed at most of the deluxe resorts. That family suite that we stayed at in the Cars section may be my favorite Disney room that I've stayed in. It was incredible. All of the theming from top to bottom was just impeccable. It was comfortable too. I do think the mattresses are pretty much the same across all of the different value resorts, but the other furniture that was there in that family suite was really plush. It was actually comfortable to sit on that couch in the living area, but it really is all about the little details throughout that room that set it apart. So you might be thinking, sure, Rob, those are the family suites. They're really expensive. Of course, they went the extra mile with those. Let me show you what the individual rooms look like in the Little Mermaid area. They are also mind-blowing. You can just tell a huge difference. As soon as you walk in the door, this room feels different than the ones at All-Star and at Pop Century. And then when you go back into the bathroom, check out the Little Mermaid mural that is in the shower. How incredible is that? I think you can already tell I'm dressed in the Little Mermaid. Maybe I'm giving away which one is my favorite of the value resorts. But the things that matter the most to me might not be the things that matter the most to you. So the way that we're gonna rate these resorts to choose an official winner is we're gonna make a graph of all these different criteria. The winner will get a gold star, which is worth 2 points. The runner-up will get a silver star, which is just worth 1. Since we are talking about value resorts today, one of the most important things we gotta talk about, of course, is price. So we're gonna throw up on the screen right now the different rates that you'll find at these resorts. At All-Star Sports, the rates will range from $128 to $321 for an average of about $170. All-Star Music, you're looking at also $128, going all the way up to $658. That's of course because of those family suites that they offer, but usually you can get rooms there for around $175. All-Star Movies, also starting at $128, going up to $323. I do find there, though, that you'll usually pay a little bit more for All-Star Movies, so we'll say the average rate you'll find is $180. Pop Century goes from $174 to $403 with an average rate of around $230. And most expensive is, of course, Art of Animation. Those range from $201 to $912, but I typically find them for around $270. The reason for that is because there just aren't that many of the rooms here at Art of Animation that are regular rooms. Most of the rooms are those family suites, which are a lot more expensive. And so it is hard to get those lower price rooms in that Little Mermaid area. One important caveat to these prices, though, these are the rack rates. So these are the starting rate that Disney puts out there before they add on any discounts. And you can oftentimes find good discounts, or they'll have other offers, like you'll get free dining add-ons to make the price a little bit more competitive. I have, for example, been able to stay at All-Star Movies for, I think, like $125, which of course makes it really competitive with a lot of the neighboring hotels. For rates, we're gonna have to give the gold star to All-Star Sports. They do tend to be the least expensive rooms available on property. We're gonna give a silver star tie to All-Star Movies and All-Star Music because they do also tend to have very competitive rates. Next up, let's talk about dining here at these value resorts. I know you might be thinking that you're gonna do all your eating at the park, so you don't really care so much what the offerings are gonna be at your hotel. Let me tell you, there are gonna be days when you're gonna come off of that bus exhausted and starving, and you're gonna be so glad that there's an option to eat here at your hotel. All of your value resorts will have a pool bar option, and then they will have a food court, which is like quick service dining. When you stay at the moderate and deluxe resorts, you oftentimes will get the addition of a nice table service restaurant, but here at value resorts, it's gonna be pool bar and food court. Here at All-Star Sports, your pool bar is gonna be Grandstand Spirits, and the food court is gonna be the End Zone Food Court. While you will find a lot of the same food items across all the value resorts, each one will usually have a signature item that is exclusive to them. That does change from time to time. Right now, here at All-Star Sports, it is the Bases Loaded Burger. I think the idea behind this one is there's these slabs of mozzarella that are meant to be the bases. It was actually a really tasty burger. All in all, though, we really enjoyed virtually everything that we got here at All-Star Sports. Everything was really tasty and prepared fresh. I got nothing bad to say. It was not my favorite of the food courts that we've tried, but it was very good. Next door at All-Star Music, you're gonna find Singing Spirits as your pool bar and Intermission Food Court as your quick service spot. When we stayed here, it was actually pretty recently. I didn't love any of the things that we got at the quick service, unfortunately. Intermission, food court, maybe we were just there at a bad time, I don't know, but it felt like all the stuff that we got had maybe been sitting for a little while. Nothing tasted super fresh. We did try the signature burger here, which is the Blues Burger. It sounded really good. Blue cheese, grilled onion, bacon. I mean, that sounds like a delicious burger. It was fine. It really wasn't anything to write home about. This is a really important caveat about this review I'm giving you now, and really any quick service Disney food review you're gonna hear. The biggest problem Disney has, especially at quick service, is consistency. Something that you order one day might be mouth-wateringly delicious, and the very next day it could be kind of ho-hum. It's unfortunate, but anyone who comes to Disney a lot will tell you it's true. So take all food reviews that you hear with a grain of salt. I have not seen that people overwhelmingly dislike this food court, so it might have just been we were here at a bad time. For me, this wasn't my favorite. At All-Star Movies, you will find Silver Screen Spirits out here by the pool. Next door to that, you'll find the world premiere food court. When we last stayed here, it was actually right after COVID, and the food was not great, but to be fair, the food wasn't really great anywhere at that time because Disney was just having huge staffing issues, and it was really hard to come back from the extended closure. So I feel like it really isn't fair to judge the food court here based on the food we had then. So we're gonna head inside right now, and we're gonna give All-Star Movies a second chance. All right, so we tried the world premiere food court one more time, and actually it was a lot better than what we had before. Like I said, consistency is always the issue here, but today we tried the barbecue braised beef, and it was really tasty actually. The barbecue sauce was tangy, sweet, and flavorful. The beef was super tender. The mashed potatoes and the carrots on the side were, they were fine. They weren't anything to write home about. We also tried the box office cupcake today, which inside it has this kind of caramel praline filling that is delicious. It really makes the whole cupcake. Also, it's adorable. It looks kind of like a popcorn box, and there's this white chocolate popcorn kernel on the top that just makes the whole thing super Instagrammable. Food and bev wise, you got two options here at Pop Century. The first is the Pedals Pool Bar, which is right there next to the Hippy Dippy pool. And then beside that, you're gonna find Everything Pop, which is a really cool combo of gift shop and food court. It's pretty much like all the other quick service spots at the different value resorts, but we do find that the quality there is really, really good. I can actually say that I've never had a bad meal at Everything Pop, and we've eaten there a few times. I'm not crazy about the signature dessert here. It's a really popular one. You'll see it a lot of times in videos and in social media. It's like a tie-dyed cheesecake. To me, it kind of tastes like a fast food cheesecake with a lot of food coloring in it. That's not my favorite, but for the real food there, it's really, really tasty. The pot roast we had here was fall apart tender and delicious. Another thing that was really good that actually surprised me, we tried the Korean barbecue style Impossible Burger. Now, quick tip if you are a plant-based eater, generally speaking, the plant-based options that you get at value resorts are terrible. They're usually not very good. I recommend making sure you do your plant-based dining at the parks, but the exception is Everything Pop. It's got a lot of flavor. I love the fresh cucumber on there. It's also got a sweet and spicy kick to it. There is a lot of spice going on there, so if you're not a fan of spicy food, you might want to steer clear, but otherwise, it is one of my favorite plant-based picks at any of the quick services here in Disney World. Next door at Art of Animation, your dining options are the drop-off pool bar, which is by the main feature pool, and then next door you will find Landscape of Flavors. What I love about Landscape of Flavors, the inside is really beautifully designed. I love all the references to the different movies that live here at this resort. There's also, I think, a wider selection of food. They have tandoori chicken here, which is certainly not an option you're gonna find on the menu at all the other quick service spots. The food here is really, really good. Almost everything we've ever had here has been delicious, and we've probably eaten here more than any of the other value resorts. But the reason I'm gonna give this one the win is because of one item and one item only. They have a Benedict burger here. No lie, y'all, this is one of the best burgers I've had on property at Disney World, and I can't believe I got it at a value resort. The Benedict burger has hollandaise sauce, an egg, Canadian bacon. How can it not be good with all that stuff on it, right? But the thing that blew me away was actually just how good and fresh everything tasted when I got it. I did watch them make mine, so I know mine was made fresh to order, but that burger was so good, I can't give anyone else top prize. Top prize goes to Landscape of Flavors, but a very serious honorable mention to Everything Pop, because that spot is great as well. Time to give out our stars for best room. Unsurprisingly, the gold star is definitely going to go to Art of Animation. Love the rooms at this place. I am going to give the silver star, though, to All Star Movies. That resort is relatively affordable compared to Pop Century and Art of Animation, and it does have an upgraded room from the other All Star resorts. So I think that one earns the silver star. The pool here at All Star Sports probably has the least theming out of all the different pools. This is the main pool right behind me. It's part of the Surfs Up area of the resort. There's also a smaller, what Disney sometimes calls a quiet pool, and that one is the home run pool over in the baseball area. Next door at All Star Music, you can see a little bit more Disney theming coming in now. The Calypso pool right here behind me is actually guitar shaped. You can't really tell it unless you're looking at it from above, but it does feature the three caballeros in the center, Donald, Jose, and Panchito. So that makes this pool a little bit more fun than the surfboard pool. Also, you have a quiet pool here called the piano pool. Here at All Star Movies, when it came time to design the pool, it was go big or go home. This is a huge jump up from the other All Star pools. The feature pool is the Fantasia pool. You're gonna find Sorcerer Mickey holding court with a really cool water feature. The quiet pool is the duck pond pool. It's themed kind of like a hockey rink, but The theming at even the quiet pool here is actually way better than either of the feature pools at the first All-Star Resort. So if pools matter a lot to you, it's probably worth the extra bucks to stay here at All-Star Movies versus the other All-Stars. There are 3 different pools here at Pop Century. You've got the main pool, which is called the Hippy Dippy Pool. That's up near Classic Hall, which is the main lobby of the resort. It's got some very mild theming. Really, most of the theming you see from the pool is coming from the buildings surrounding it. The 2 quiet pools at this resort are the 50s pool, which is also called the bowling pool. It's shaped like a bowling pin. And then the computer pool, which is the 1980s pool. And it's basically surrounded by discs and all sorts of computer peripherals. Like over at Pop Century, you will find 3 different pools here at Art of Animation. There's the main feature pool, which is the big blue pool themed to Finding Nemo. Over in the Little Mermaid section, you'll find the Flippin' Fins pool. And right here behind me, this is the other quiet pool. This is the Cozy Cone Motel pool. That thing you see behind me, all that theming, that is just the entrance to one of the quiet pools at this resort. That's a quiet pool. So this one is of course themed to cars, and that's not even the coolest part of it. They actually have complimentary cabanas in the shape of giant highway cones. It is adorable. They are first come, first serve, and they're super popular. So if you want a cabana, you probably do need to show up early or show up later in the day when everyone else has left. But it is just a really cool perk, and it is one of the reasons why this is my pick for the best pool. The winner for best pool in all the value resorts, Art of Animation, gets the gold star. Silver star I am going to give to All-Star Movies because that pool really is great. The Fantasia pool is spectacular. I love the water effect with Sorcerer Mickey, so that one gets my runner-up, but this one gets the gold star. Most people would agree that it is a lot more fun to ride on a Skyliner than it is to ride on a bus because, well, we get to ride on buses all the time. How often do you get to ride on a gondola through the sky? But it's also a lot more efficient to use the Skyliner. I did a little test today while I was doing this video. I timed how long it took to get from Hollywood Studios to All-Star Resorts and back. From the time it took me to wait on the bus, get on the bus, travel, it was 27 minutes. Now that's actually average because I did it twice. Once was 26 minutes, the other was 28, but 27 is the average. When we did the Skyliner here today, it was only 12 minutes to get from Hollywood Studios to Pop Century and Art of Animation. Of course, we did have to transfer at Caribbean Beach, but even with that transfer, it was only 12 minutes. So this is a very efficient mode of travel, mainly because you don't have to wait on anything to show up. It's always moving as long as the weather is good. We're gonna give the gold star to Pop Century and Art of Animation. That's gonna be a tie. There's no runner-up in this one. You're not gonna get a silver star over there at All-Star for just having a bus, because everybody has a bus. You don't get a silver star for that. One thing that you probably don't think a lot about when you're choosing a normal resort is theming. But when you're here at Walt Disney World, the theme can actually make a really huge difference. For this category, we're gonna rank these resorts based on how mind-blowingly awesome the theming is, and in most cases, that's gonna be how Disneyfied the resort is. One of the main reasons you're staying on property is to stay inside that Disney bubble. When you come back to your resort from the park, you kinda wanna still feel like you're at Disney World, so theming matters a lot. In a little bit, we're gonna talk about resorts for those folks who maybe don't want quite so much Disney theming, but for this one, there's no such thing as too much Disney theming. More is more is more, bigger is better, and the winner in this category is not even close. Art of Animation blows all of the other resorts away. It is incredible. For me, I don't even like the movie Cars. It's not one of my favorites, and yet I love being in the Cars land of this resort. Everywhere you turn, every little detail, you can just tell how much thought the Imagineers put into this place. It's no contest. The gold star goes to Art of Animation. It was tough to pick a silver star in this category, but I'm gonna give it to All-Star Movies. The reason is because that resort is much more affordable than either Art of Animation or Pop Century, and the theming there is spectacular. For our next category, we're gonna talk about which of these hotels is best for people who maybe aren't the biggest fans of Disney. you know, there are definitely people who come to Walt Disney World who would prefer to not have Disney turned up to 100 everywhere they go. Maybe they want to just take a break from all of the Disney when they come back to their hotel from the parks. In this category, we actually have two that were really close. One was, of course, here at Pop Century. As we discussed, this one leans more into retro than Disney, but there is still a fair amount of Disney. Another thing I like about this resort, for those who want a break from the mouse, the music here is not overwhelmingly Disney. Here they focus more on hits from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, and you'll hear different music depending on what area of the resort you're in, which obviously that makes sense for this resort. While Pop Century is great for giving you a break from all the Disney, it actually only earns my silver star. The gold star goes to all-star music. There, the Disney theming is pretty minimal, honestly. There's a lot less than even there is here. And because that resort is focused on music, they play a wide range of music. Now, there are some Disney show tunes in there, that's in the mix, but you'll also hear country music, rock music. It's a really good eclectic mix of music, and it does give you a break from all of the Disney. Our next category is Best Hotel for Larger Families and Groups. So obviously you can break your group up into smaller hotel rooms, but you can do that at any hotel. What I want to talk about in this category are these hotels that let you have rooms with larger capacities. You can get the family suites that sleep up to 6 guests. Now, every other hotel on Disney property pretty much is going to sleep 4. There are some 2-bedroom options at deluxe resorts, which sleep even more, and there are also cabins and different things like that. But we're just talking about value resorts right here, so the biggest capacity you can get is 6. The winner in this category is going to be Art of Animation, because those family suites are incredible. They're so well themed. They're definitely worth every penny. The runner-up is the only other option, which is All-Star Music. Even though those are cheaper, and that can certainly be helpful when you're trying to budget for a lot of people, for me, I think it is worth the extra dollars. Staying at one of these family suites at Art of Animation is an unforgettable stay. It really is over the top, incredible theming. It's like you're at a deluxe resort, which makes sense because honestly, you are paying almost what you would be paying for a deluxe resort, and in some cases even more depending on the season. But to have the ability to sleep 6 people at that rate can be a pretty good deal for larger groups. Next up, let's talk gift shops. Now, admittedly, gift shop is not usually the most important thing to consider when you're picking a resort, but since we're ranking everything, we might as well rank the gift shops too, right? It really is no contest in this department. Art of Animation and Pop Century have way better gift shops than the one that you're gonna find at the different All-Star resorts. While the All-Star Movies gift shop is bigger than the other All-Stars, these just kind of blow even that one out of the water. So I can't really pick which one I like better. They're both really, really good. I also love that they're kind of attached to the dining areas. So if you're using mobile order, you can actually make your mobile order while you're shopping around, and then as soon as your order's ready, just pop in and pick it up. Since I can't pick between the two, we're just gonna make it a tie. And we're gonna give a gold star to both Art of Animation and Pop Century for having really great gift shops. We're not gonna give a silver star in this one. It's gold or nothing. Well, now, my friends, it is time to add up all the points and declare our official winner of Best Value Resort. We're gonna put all the points up on the screen right now, but what I want you to do actually, don't just look at all of these categories. Pick the categories that are most important to you and add up your own score, because then you're gonna find out which is the value resort that is best for you and your group. If you don't care about gift shop, and well, you might not, take that out of the listings. Just rate the things that matter most to you. But taking it all into consideration, unsurprisingly, the grand prize goes to my favorite, Art of Animation. It really wasn't even close. The runner-up was definitely harder to pick. It was a closer battle, but I think the official runner-up is gonna be Pop Century, mainly because of those points that it gets for having the Skyliner and such a great location. If value is more important to you though, strongly consider All-Star Movies. We do love that resort, and I would have been fine if that had come in as the runner-up as well. Well, I hope this video helped you decide where you're gonna stay when you come here to Walt Disney World. We're actually gonna do this whole thing again at the different moderate resorts and deluxe resorts. So subscribe to our channel if you wanna see those videos. Until next time, don't forget to think happy thoughts, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.